The stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across black velvet as I stood on the observation deck of the Galactic Council's flagship. The view was breathtaking, but my heart raced for another reason entirely. I was on the brink of a new adventure, one that would take me far from Earth to a place known as Xylox 9, a planet infamous for its deadly landscapes and ferocious wildlife. I leaned closer, pressing my forehead against the cool glass, my breath fogging the surface for a moment before it cleared again. "Look at that place," I muttered to myself, the words barely escaping my lips. "They say it's hell on Earth, or rather, hell in the galaxy." A chime echoed through the deck, pulling me from my reverie. It was the unmistakable sound of an incoming message. The holographic interface flickered to life, and the stern face of Counselor Traylon appeared before me, framed by the swirling colors of distant nebulae. "Jake Anderson," he began, his voice deep and resonant, "you have been selected for the survival course on Xylox 9. My heart skipped a beat. "Sir, Do not interrupt," he continued, raising a hand. "This is not an opportunity given lightly. We expect you and your team to demonstrate the resilience of humanity in the face of insurmountable odds. The Council has its eyes on you." I couldn't help but grin, a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling within me. "Understood, sir. We'll make you proud." Trellon's expression softened slightly, a hint of something, perhaps encouragement, flitting across his features. "Good luck, Jake. You'll need it." As the hologram flickered out, I took a moment to steady my breathing. Xylox 9. It was a death world, classified as one of the most dangerous planets known to the Galactic Council. I had heard the stories: venomous flora, predatory fauna, and treacherous terrains. But I had always thrived in challenging environments, and I was determined to prove that humanity was more than just a curiosity to be observed. I hurried to gather my team. As we prepared for the journey ahead, I felt a mix of adrenaline and doubt swelling inside me. Would we really be able to survive? In the common room, I found Sarah flipping through a databook on alien botany. She was a skilled botanist, her love for plants matched only by her curiosity about the unknown. She looked up as I entered, a bright smile lighting up her face. "Jake, you got the message." "Yeah, we're going to Xylox 9. I said, excitement thrumming through me like a live wire. "Do you think we'll survive?" she asked, her expression shifting from excitement to concern. I leaned against the table, crossing my arms. "We have to. We're going to show them what humans are made of." Just then, Marcus strolled in, his glasses sliding down his nose as he scanned the room. "What's this about surviving and showing off? Are we supposed to be making a spectacle of ourselves?" "Not a spectacle," I replied, a grin creeping across my face. "A demonstration. We'll make them rethink everything they believe about us." "Count me in," Marcus said, adjusting his glasses. "I've been working on some tech that might give us an edge. We just need to make sure it's compatible with whatever Xylox 9 throws our way." Lisa joined us then, her presence commanding attention. She was a survival expert, tough as nails, and the kind of person you wanted by your side in a crisis. "You guys are getting excited over nothing. Have you seen the reports on Xylox 9? It's a death trap." "Exactly," I said. "That's why we're going. To prove that we can thrive in a place like that." "But what if we don't?" she challenged, her eyes narrowing. "What if we fail?" "Then we'll take that failure and learn from it," I replied, my voice steady. "Every challenge is an opportunity. We'll adapt. We've done it before, and we can do it again." The conversation shifted as we began to plan our strategies and gather supplies. Sarah brought up the native plants we would need to study, while Marcus outlined the technological gadgets he was working on. Lisa, in her no-nonsense way, pushed us to focus on our physical training, reminding us that survival skills were just as crucial as intellect. As the ship hurtled through space, I found myself lost in thought. What awaited us on Xylox 9? Would we encounter the monstrous creatures of legend? The poisonous plants that could kill us with a single touch? I felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. When we finally arrived, the sight that met us was unlike anything I had ever seen. Xylox 9 was a swirling mass of vibrant colors and stark contrasts. The sky was a deep purple, flecked with swirling storms, while the land was rugged and uneven, dotted with strange alien flora that seemed to pulse with life. "Welcome to paradise," Lisa muttered, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Paradise or not, we're here to make our mark," I said, determination fueling my words. As we disembarked, the air was thick with tension and uncertainty. A group of alien instructors awaited us, their expressions skeptical. They towered over us, their skin iridescent and their eyes glimmering with curiosity and perhaps a hint of disdain. "Humans," one of them said, his voice echoing strangely in the atmosphere. "You are here to survive. Do not expect mercy." "We don't need mercy," I shot back, stepping forward. "We're here to show you that we can thrive in this place." The aliens exchanged glances, their skepticism palpable. "Very well," the instructor said, his tone cold. "Prepare yourselves. The challenges ahead will test your limits." As they explained the brutal challenges we would face, I glanced at my team, each of us silently acknowledging the weight of the task ahead. The air crackled with anticipation, and I felt a fire ignite within me. We were here to prove ourselves, not just to the aliens, but to each other. "Let's show them what we're made of," I said, my voice steady and resolute. With that, we stepped into the unknown, ready to embrace whatever Xylox 9 had in store for us. I could feel the eyes of our alien observers on us, filled with doubt and perhaps a hint of fear. But that was precisely what I wanted. They would see humanity not as a curiosity but as a force to be reckoned with. And we would thrive. The air was thick with humidity as we stepped into the heart of the jungle on Xylox 9. The oppressive heat clung to our skin, and the cacophony of alien wildlife surrounded us, a symphony of screeches, growls, and rustles that felt both foreign and unnerving. I could feel the weight of the alien instructor's skeptical gazes on our backs, but I pushed that thought aside. This was our moment to prove ourselves. "Stay close, everyone," I said, my voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling in my chest. "We need to keep each other in sight. Let's move as a unit." Sarah, always the one to focus on the flora, knelt beside a strange, luminescent plant. "Jake, look at this. It could be edible." I glanced over at her, trying to gauge if her excitement was justified. "Careful, Sarah. We don't know what it could do. Remember what the aliens said, this jungle is filled with poisons." Right, she muttered, standing up with a hint of disappointment. "But how are we supposed to find food if we can't even check out the plants?" "Trial and error," Marcus chimed in, adjusting the straps on his backpack. "That's what survival is, right? We'll have to rely on our instincts. If something looks too good to be true, it probably is." I nodded, impressed by Marcus' logic. "Exactly. Let's keep moving." As we ventured deeper, the trees thickened, their twisted trunks and sprawling vines creating an almost labyrinthine path. I felt a prickle of anxiety, the kind that comes just before a storm. My instincts were firing off warning signals, and I could sense the tension in the air. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke through the clamor of the jungle. "Did you hear that?" Lisa whispered, her eyes wide with apprehension. "Yeah," I replied, my heart racing. "Everyone, stay low and silent." We crouched behind a massive root, the thick bark providing some cover. I peered around the edge, my breath caught in my throat. There, just a few meters away, a massive creature slithered into view, scales glistening in the dim light, eyes glinting with predatory intent. It resembled a cross between a snake and a lizard, but much larger and more sinister. "Is that thing real?" Sarah breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Looks like it," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "We need to move, slowly. If it catches wind of us, we're done." We began to crawl backward, inching away from the danger. My heart thudded in my chest like a war drum, every sound amplified in the stillness. Just as we turned to flee, I caught a glimpse of the alien instructors observing us from a distance, their expressions a mix of disbelief and intrigue. "Look at them," one of the aliens, Zarnox sneered. "They think they can survive in this hellhole. It's almost comical." "Let them play their game," another instructor replied, his voice low and contemplative. "They may surprise us yet." The tension in my gut tightened as I focused on our escape route. We managed to make it a few hundred meters before coming to a clearing. The sunlight streamed through the canopy, illuminating patches of vibrant colors, a stark contrast to the darkness we had just navigated. "Okay, we made it," I said, letting out a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. "Let's take a moment to regroup and assess our supplies." I pulled out our emergency pack, scanning the contents. "We have some energy bars and water, but we need to find more sustainable food sources. We can't rely on these rations for long." "Agreed," Lisa said, scanning the area. But we need to be cautious. We can't afford to make any mistakes. As we discussed our next steps, I noticed Zarnok and a couple of other aliens watching us from the treeline. Their expressions were inscrutable, but I could feel a sense of hostility radiating from Zarnok. It was as if our survival was a threat to something larger than just this competition. "Hey," I said, turning to the others. "I think we should split up to cover more ground. We can meet back here in an hour." "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Sarah asked, concern etched on her face. "What if we run into more of those creatures?" "Better to risk it than stay here and starve," I insisted. "We've got each other's backs, and we can signal if anything goes wrong." "All right, but let's keep communication open," Marcus said, his voice firm. "We'll use the comms to stay in touch." We decided on our separate paths. I ventured further into the jungle, relying on my instincts to guide me. The vibrant flora began to shift into darker tones, and the air grew thick with an unsettling silence. My skin prickled with the sensation of being watched. Just as I was about to turn back, I stumbled upon a grove of strange fruit hanging from a tree. They bore bright colors, red, orange, and yellow, and looked almost too good to be true. My curiosity piqued. I reached out to pluck one, but something deep inside me screamed to stop. "Jake." Lisa's voice crackled through the comms. "Be careful. I think I saw a creature nearby." I froze, the fruit hovering inches from my fingertips. "I'll be careful," I replied, glancing around. "But I think I might have found something promising." Before I could say more, a sudden rustle erupted from the underbrush, and I spun around, my heart racing. A low growl rumbled from the shadows, and I caught a glimpse of movement. "Jake, get out of there!" Sarah shouted over the comms. I dropped the fruit, adrenaline surging through me. "I'm on it!" I yelled, bolting back the way I came. The jungle seemed to close in around me, branches snagging at my clothes as I sprinted. The growl followed, echoing through the trees. I pushed harder, my lungs burning, until I finally burst into the clearing where the others waited. "Did you see it?" Marcus asked, his eyes wide. "Yeah, and we need to move," I panted, trying to catch my breath. "There's something dangerous out there." As we regrouped, I could sense Zarnok's eyes on us, a flicker of satisfaction crossing his face. I didn't know what he was plotting, but I could feel the tension thickening. "Let's get back to strategizing," I suggested, forcing a brave smile. "We're not out of this yet." We huddled together, the weight of our surroundings pressing down on us. I could feel the alien instructors watching, curiosity mixing with skepticism. But deep down, I knew we had what it took to survive this challenge, even if the odds were stacked against us. "Let's not give up," I said, locking eyes with each of my teammates. "We're here to show them what humanity can do." As we prepared for the next phase of our survival test, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the cusp of something monumental. This jungle, with its perils and wonders, would either be our grave or our proving ground. And I was determined to make it the latter. The air was thick with tension as we prepared for the next part of the survival course on Xylox 9. I could feel it in my bones, that something was off. The vibrant greens of the surrounding jungle, once a source of excitement, now felt like a deceptive veil hiding the dangers lurking beneath. My team and I had excelled in the previous challenges, but I sensed that our success had drawn the ire of Zarnok, our alien instructor whose contempt for us was palpable. "Jake, we need to be careful," Sarah said, her voice tinged with concern. She was examining some local flora, her hands deftly moving over the leaves. "Being too good at this could backfire. Zarnok doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who takes defeat lightly." "Tell me about it," I replied, crossing my arms. "It's like we're poking a bear with a stick, and I don't think it's going to end well for us." Marcus chimed in, his eyes scanning the surroundings. "We've got to keep our heads on a swivel. If he's going to sabotage our food, we need a plan to counteract it. We can't let him take us down that easily." As we gathered around a makeshift table we had crafted from fallen branches and large leaves, I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. "Okay, let's brainstorm. What alternatives do we have for food? We can't rely solely on what we've already found." Lisa, ever the survival expert, leaned in, her brow furrowed in thought. "There's a nearby stream that has some edible roots and tubers. I saw some last time we scouted the area. We could dig those up and make a stew." "I like it," I nodded, feeling a surge of optimism. Let's split into teams. Sarah and I will go for the roots, while Marcus and Lisa scout for anything else we can use. As we prepared to split up, I felt an unsettling chill in the air, a sign that something was about to change. We set off, hearts pounding with determination but also the weight of uncertainty. After a short trek, Sarah and I reached the stream. The water gurgled softly, a stark contrast to the looming danger we faced. "It's beautiful here," she remarked, kneeling by the water's edge, her fingers brushing over the cool surface. "Yeah, it is," I replied, my gaze drifting over the shimmering water. "But we can't let our guard down. Let's get those roots and get back." We began digging, the cool earth yielding to our efforts. As we worked, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. I glanced up, scanning the treetops and shadows, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. "Sarah, you feel that?" I asked, my voice low. "Feel what?" she queried, pausing in her digging. "Like we're not alone," I said, my instincts prickling. "I don't know how to explain it. Just keep an eye out." "Sure thing," she replied, her focus now split between digging and scanning the treeline. After a few moments, we had gathered a good amount of roots. I felt a surge of pride as we headed back, but my unease remained. As we approached our camp, something felt off. The air was still, too still, and I noticed a peculiar silence enveloping our usual sounds of rustling leaves and distant wildlife. "Jake," Sarah's voice trailed off, her eyes widening as we entered the clearing. Our food supplies, all carefully stashed away, had been tampered with. The containers lay shattered, their contents strewn about like the aftermath of a violent storm. My heart sank. "Zarnok," I muttered through clenched teeth. "That bastard. Do you think he's behind this?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling with disbelief. "There's no other explanation. We need to regroup with Marcus and Lisa now," I said, urgency fueling my every movement. We sprinted back to where we had last seen them, my mind racing with strategies and contingencies. If Zarnok was indeed sabotaging us, we needed to outsmart him before he could strike again. When we reached the area near the makeshift camp, I found Marcus and Lisa sitting on the ground, examining their own findings. "Guys," I called out, my voice breaking the tension that hung in the air. "You won't believe what happened." "What is it?" Marcus looked up, his face etched with concern. "Our supplies, Zarnok sabotaged them. We need to come up with a new plan," I said, my heartbeat quickening. "We need to find alternate food sources, and we need to do it fast." Lisa exchanged glances with Marcus. "We were actually just discussing that. We found some wild berries and nuts nearby. They're edible, but we'll need to be careful. Some of them could be poisonous." "Let's gather what we can," I urged, already formulating a plan in my mind. "We'll need to be stealthy about it. Zarnok might have eyes everywhere." As we moved through the underbrush, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being hunted. The very air felt electric, as if it held the promise of impending confrontation. We gathered the berries, careful to distinguish the safe from the deadly, but every rustle of leaves sent my heart racing. "Jake, over there," Lisa whispered, pointing toward a cluster of bushes. "That looks like a good spot." I nodded, moving closer. "Stay alert. Zarnok won't let this go without a fight." Just then, a rustling sound erupted from the foliage behind us, and I spun around, adrenaline surging. My instincts kicked in as I prepared for whatever might emerge from the shadows. "Show yourself," I called out, my voice steady despite the thumping in my chest. To my shock, a small group of warriors, clad in strange armor, stepped forward. Their eyes glinted with hostility, and the air grew heavy with the tension of impending violence. Zarnok had sent reinforcements to eliminate us. "Jake," Marcus shouted, pulling out a makeshift weapon. "What do we do?" I quickly assessed our options, the odds not in our favor. "We don't fight unless we have to. Keep your distance and stay together." The aliens advanced, their expressions a mix of curiosity and contempt. "You are not meant to be here, humans," one of them declared, his voice deep and resonant. "We didn't come here to cause trouble," I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. "We're here to prove ourselves, not to fight." "Your success is an affront to our honor," another warrior sneered, stepping closer. "You will be dealt with." I exchanged a glance with my team, the weight of the situation crashing down on us. We had fought against the odds before, but this felt different. The hostility was palpable, and retreat was not an option. "Listen to me," I shouted, raising my hands in a gesture of peace. "We're not your enemies. Zarnak is manipulating this situation, and we're not the real threat here." The warriors paused, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. I could see the tension rippling through their ranks, and I knew that this was a critical moment. If we could make them see reason. But before I could say another word, the lead warrior raised his weapon, and I felt my heart drop. "Enough of your words, human. You will face the consequences of your intrusion." In that instant, we were left with no choice but to prepare for a fight, a battle against not just the warriors but the very perception of humanity that Zarnak had poisoned in their minds. I glanced at my team, our resolve hardening. We would not go down without a fight. As I stood there, adrenaline pumping through my veins, the sight of the hostile alien warriors marching toward us sent a chill down my spine. Their skin shimmered under the pale light of Xylox 9's twin moons, each step they took resonating with an unyielding confidence that screamed danger. I could feel my heart racing as I glanced at my team, each of us bracing for what was to come. "Jake, what do we do?" Sarah's voice trembled slightly, her eyes wide with fear yet filled with determination. She clutched a small dagger, a tool originally meant for foraging, now a fragile weapon against the looming threat. "Stick together," I shouted, trying to keep a level head despite the chaos. "We can outsmart them. We've done it before." My confidence was a facade, but I needed to project strength. We had survived the jungle and outmaneuvered their previous challenges. We could do it again. Marcus, ever the strategist, was already scanning our surroundings. "There's a thicket to our right. If we can reach it, we might be able to use the terrain to our advantage." His voice was calm, methodical, as if he were discussing a complex engineering problem rather than our lives hanging in the balance. "Good idea," I replied, nodding. "On my count, we run for it. Lisa, can you create a distraction?" Lisa smirked, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "Leave it to me." She had always been the wild card of our group, unafraid to take risks. I trusted her instincts. "All right, 1, 2, 3. I yelled, and we broke into a sprint toward the thicket. Lisa darted off in another direction, hollering and waving her arms. "Hey, over here." Her voice echoed through the clearing, and I could see the warriors pause, confusion etched on their faces. It was enough of a distraction to buy us precious seconds. As we plunged into the dense underbrush, the thorns snagged at my clothes, but I persevered, urging my legs to move faster. The sounds of combat, shouts, the clash of alien weapons, and the rustling of leaves, filled the air behind us. Our breaths came in heavy gasps, but we pressed on, driven by the primal instinct to survive. "Jake, this way." Marcus called, veering left. I followed him deeper into the thicket, the foliage growing thicker around us. The shadows seemed to close in, but we had to keep moving. Once we were far enough away, we ducked behind a cluster of large, gnarled roots, trying to catch our breath. I could hear the warriors searching for us just outside our hiding place. My heart raced as I listened intently, hoping they wouldn't discover our whereabouts. "Do you think they saw us?" Sarah whispered, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't think so," I replied, though doubt gnawed at my thoughts. "We need to plan our next move. If we stay here too long, they'll regroup." As I spoke, I caught a glimpse of Lisa slipping back into our hiding spot. She looked exhilarated, a grin plastered across her face. You should have seen their faces. They had no idea what hit them. "Do you have a plan?" I asked, needing to focus on the immediate threat. "Yeah," she said, excitement bubbling in her voice. "There's a narrow path leading to the river a few yards from here. We can use it to flank them. If we're quick and quiet, we can get the jump on them." "Flank them? You mean fight?" Marcus's skepticism was clear, but I could see the spark of resolve igniting in his eyes. "Not fight, outsmart," I clarified. "If we can catch them off guard, we'll have the upper hand. We've got numbers and an element of surprise." The team nodded, each of us understanding the stakes. The aliens may have had superior weapons and physical prowess, but we had our wits, our adaptability, and each other. "Let's move," I instructed, feeling a sense of unity wash over us. We crawled through the underbrush, moving like shadows, silent and swift. The distant sounds of the alien warriors faded as we approached the riverbank, the moonlight reflecting off the water's surface. When we reached the river, I could see a few warriors standing on the other side, their backs turned to us as they scanned the area. "This is it," I whispered. "We need to create a diversion." "I can throw something in the water," Marcus suggested, reaching for a rock. "That'll make noise and draw them away." "Do it," I urged. With a swift motion, Marcus hurled the rock into the river, the splash echoing through the night. The warriors immediately turned, their attention diverted as they moved toward the sound. "Now's our chance." I gripped Sarah's hand and motioned for the others to follow as we dashed across the bank, moving quickly but carefully to avoid detection. We reached the other side and crouched behind a large boulder, observing the warriors as they moved away from us, curiosity piqued. "This is working," I breathed, adrenaline surging through me. "We just need to wait for the right moment." "Look." Lisa pointed. "They're splitting up." "Perfect," I said, feeling the tide of confidence shift in our favor. "We can take them one at a time." "Are we really going to fight them?" Sarah asked, her voice shaky again. "What if we get hurt?" "Then we'll adapt," I replied, forcing a calmness I didn't entirely feel. "We've faced worse. Remember the jungle? This is just another challenge, another opportunity to show them what we're made of." As the closest warrior turned his back, I nodded at Marcus. "You're up. Get him." With a nod, Marcus slipped out from behind the boulder, moving with the stealth of a predator. The rest of us held our breath, tension coiling in the air. In one swift motion, Marcus pounced, tackling the warrior to the ground before he could react. The alien let out a surprised yelp, but it was quickly muffled as Marcus covered his mouth. "Now!" I shouted, and the rest of us surged forward, joining Marcus in subduing the warrior. We worked together, using our combined strength to bind him, our hearts racing with the thrill of the unexpected victory. "Quick, take his weapon," I instructed, and Marcus swiftly grabbed the alien's weapon, a sleek shimmering device that looked far more advanced than anything we had. As we regrouped, I could see the realization dawning on my team. "We did it!" Sarah exclaimed, her eyes wide with disbelief. "This is just the beginning," I replied, feeling a surge of determination. "We have to keep moving. There are more of them out there." With our newfound weapon in hand, we continued our stealthy advance, emboldened by our earlier success. We used the landscape to our advantage, hiding behind trees and boulders, waiting for the perfect moments to strike. As we navigated the terrain, I could feel a bond forming among us, a camaraderie forged in the fire of adversity. We were no longer just a group of individuals. We were a team, united in our mission to prove ourselves in this treacherous environment. "Over there." Lisa pointed, spotting another group of warriors ahead. "They're gathered around something." "Let's see what they're up to," I suggested, motioning for everyone to stay low as we approached. Peering through the foliage, I could see the aliens surrounding a small device, their expressions tense. "What do you think they're planning?" Marcus whispered, his brow furrowed. "I don't know, but we need to find out," I replied, my mind racing with possibilities. This could be our chance to turn the tide even more. Suddenly, I sensed movement behind us. I turned sharply, my heart dropping as I spotted Zarnok's piercing gaze watching us from the shadows. I knew then that he was more than just an observer, he was our greatest threat. "Stay alert," I warned my team, my voice low but firm. "He's watching us. We can't let him know our plans." As we huddled together, I felt the weight of our situation pressing down on me. But I also felt a flicker of hope. We had come this far together, we wouldn't give up now. With renewed determination, we prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that our greatest strength lay in our unity and our ability to adapt. The fight was far from over, and we were ready to show the galaxy what humanity was capable of. The air crackled with tension as I stood at the edge of the makeshift arena, my heart racing in sync with the distant roars echoing from the darkened forest beyond. The final challenge was upon us, and I could see the alien spectators lining the perimeter, their eyes glinting with a mix of intrigue and malevolence. They were ready to witness the spectacle they had orchestrated, and I was determined not to let them down, or worse, let them see us cower. "Jake, are you sure about this?" Sarah's voice shook slightly as she stepped closer, her brow furrowed with concern. Her hands trembled, but she was trying to mask it with a brave face. This creature is supposed to be more dangerous than anything we've faced so far. I took a deep breath, my mind racing through the survival tactics we'd learned in the past weeks. We can't let fear control us, Sarah. We've come too far to back down now. Remember what we've accomplished. We've outsmarted every obstacle thrown our way. Marcus adjusted his glasses, peering past me toward the thicket. If we can't scare it off, we need to find a way to trap it. We've got to use the environment to our advantage. Exactly, I replied, feeling a surge of confidence. We'll use our knowledge of the terrain. We can lead it into a natural pitfall. It's bigger than any of us, but it's not invincible. I glanced around at my team, their faces a mix of fear and determination. We can do this. We just need to stay sharp and work together. As I spoke, the ground trembled beneath our feet, and the roars got closer. The aliens were buzzing with excitement, their chatter rising in volume. I caught a glimpse of Zarnok in the crowd, his expression one of fierce anticipation. This was his revenge. He wanted to see us fail. But I refused to give him the satisfaction. The thundering growls grew louder, and then with a thunderous crash, the creature burst through the trees. It was a monstrous beast, muscular limbs, glistening scales reflecting the harsh sunlight, and teeth that could tear through metal. My stomach dropped as it roared again, sending vibrations through my bones. Stay focused, I shouted. On my mark, we move. The creature scanned the area, its glowing eyes locking onto us as it took a menacing step forward. It was now or never. I signaled to the team, and we broke into a sprint, running in a zigzag pattern to confuse the beast. Its massive jaws snapped dangerously close to my heels as I darted past, adrenaline pumping through my veins. Over here, Marcus shouted, leading us toward a dense cluster of trees where the ground sloped downward. This way, there's a natural depression. We reached the edge of a small ravine, and I skidded to a stop, heart pounding. If we can lure it down there, we might be able to trap it. Let's make some noise, Lisa yelled, grabbing a stick and banging it against a rock. It created a sharp, echoing sound that cut through the chaos. The creature turned its attention toward us, clearly agitated and enraged. With my heart racing, I threw a handful of rocks toward the ravine, hoping to draw it in. Come on, you ugly beast. Down here, I shouted, waving my arms to lure it closer. To my relief, the creature took the bait, its massive body crashing toward us. The ground shook with every step it took, and I felt the vibrations travel through my feet. I backed up, guiding it toward the edge of the ravine, sweat dripping from my brow as I fought to maintain my composure. Now, I yelled, and the whole team sprinted in unison, leading the beast straight toward the ravine. It roared again, charging after us, but we were quick, darting to the side and narrowly avoiding its snapping jaws. Suddenly, the creature stumbled, its foot slipping on the edge of the ravine. Yes. Keep going, I shouted, feeling a surge of triumph. We had to keep the momentum going. I watched as it teetered precariously at the edge, its massive frame looming above the pit. This is it. Push it in, I called out, and we all threw whatever we could find, rocks, branches, anything to force it down. The beast roared in frustration, scrambling to regain its balance. But with one last shove, it lost its footing and fell into the ravine with a deafening crash. The ground shook, and dust rose into the air as it landed with a heavy thud. We stood at the edge, breathless, staring down into the ravine. The creature was thrashing about, disoriented but still dangerous. What now? Sarah gasped, her face pale. I glanced at my team, the adrenaline still coursing through me. Now we secure it. We need to find a way to keep it contained before it gets back up. We've got to work together. Let's use the vines from that tree, Marcus suggested, pointing to a large tree nearby whose roots were thick and winding. If we can tie it down, we might be able to keep it from escaping. Good idea. I nodded, feeling a rush of hope. Let's go. We raced to the tree, pulling down the strong vines and racing back to the ravine. The creature was starting to regain its bearings, its eyes narrowing as it focused on us. Hurry! I shouted, adrenaline surging through me again. We worked quickly, tying the vines around the creature's limbs, our hearts pounding as it thrashed beneath us. It's stronger than it looks, Lisa grunted, pulling with all her might. We can do this. Just a little more, I encouraged, feeling the sweat trickle down my back. Finally, with one last effort, we secured the last of the vines around its snout, effectively muzzling it. As the dust settled, we stepped back, panting heavily. The creature was subdued, its roars diminishing to frustrated growls. We had done it. We had turned the tide. I looked around at my team, their faces reflecting disbelief and exhilaration. We actually did it, I breathed, a smile breaking across my face. We're alive. The alien spectators were silent, their expressions a mix of shock and awe. They hadn't expected us to succeed. Zarnok's face twisted in anger, but I couldn't bring myself to care. We had proven ourselves against the odds, and in that moment, I felt a thrill of victory that was almost intoxicating. "Let's get out of here," I said, my voice steady now, filled with a sense of authority. "We've got a beast to report, and I think it's time the galaxy knows what humans are capable of." The air was thick with tension as we stood in the aftermath of the final challenge. My heart raced, not from fear but from exhilaration. We had faced the monstrous beast and emerged not only alive but victorious. Yet, as I glanced around at my teammates, I sensed an undercurrent of anxiety. Zarnok's treachery loomed over us like a dark storm cloud, threatening to overshadow our triumph. "Jake, do you think he'll try to come after us again?" Sarah asked, her voice tinged with worry as she brushed a strand of hair from her face. Her brow furrowed, and her eyes darted toward the shadows cast by the alien structures surrounding us. "No way," I replied, trying to inject confidence into my tone. "He's too busy trying to save his own skin right now. We just need to stay alert." Marcus, always the pragmatist, chimed in. "We should gather evidence of his sabotage, just in case. We can't let him twist the narrative in his favor. The Galactic Council needs to see the truth." "Agreed," I said, nodding. "Let's head back to the camp and check our supplies. If he tampered with anything, we'll find it." As we made our way back, the atmosphere felt charged with a mix of victory and uncertainty. The alien spectators who had once eyed us with skepticism now watched with a newfound respect, their expressions shifting from disdain to curiosity. It was a strange feeling to be at the center of their attention, and I couldn't help but wonder what they were thinking. When we reached the camp, I was struck by the sight of Zarnok, his posture rigid and defiant as he faced a group of alien enforcers. The Galactic Council had arrived, and their presence was palpable. I exchanged glances with my team, and we moved closer to overhear the confrontation. "Your actions have been observed, Zarnok," one of the council members, a tall figure with shimmering blue skin, declared. The authority in their voice sent a shiver down my spine. "The sabotage of the human team will not be tolerated." Zarnok's eyes narrowed, and he thrust his chin forward defiantly. "They are a threat to our way of life. Their success is a danger to the galaxy." "Your prejudice has clouded your judgment," another council member interjected, her voice calm yet firm. "The humans have shown remarkable adaptability and resilience. They have proven themselves more than capable of surviving on Xylox 9, and your actions have only demonstrated your fear." I felt a swell of pride at their recognition of our efforts, but I also sensed the tension in the air. Zarnok was cornered, and desperation often breeds recklessness. "I will not be silenced by a council that coddles these creatures," he spat, his voice rising. "They do not belong here. They are a blight on the galaxy." "Enough!" the first council member shouted, their voice echoing across the clearing. "You are to be held accountable for your actions. Your position will be revoked, and you will face the consequences of your betrayal." I watched as Zarnok's defiance crumbled, replaced by a flicker of fear. I felt a surge of exhilaration. We were finally being vindicated. The council had seen through his lies, and it was about time. As he was taken away, I turned to my team, my heart pounding with adrenaline. "We did it. We really did it." Lisa smiled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I can't believe it. They actually believed us." Marcus nodded, a grin spreading across his face. "We showed them what humans are capable of, and now they can't ignore us." The council members approached us, their expressions serious but not unkind. "Humans," the tall alien said, "you have displayed extraordinary courage and ingenuity in the face of adversity. Your survival skills and teamwork have surpassed our expectations." I felt a rush of emotion at their words. This was more than I had ever hoped for. "Thank you," I replied, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of feelings inside me. "We just did what we had to do to survive." Survival is only part of the equation, the council member continued. What we have witnessed here extends beyond mere existence. You have shown that cooperation and unity can transcend the barriers of species and culture. For that, we extend an invitation to you. An invitation? Sarah echoed, her brow furrowed in curiosity. Yes, the council member said, their eyes glinting with interest. We invite you to serve as ambassadors for intergalactic survival. Your unique perspective as humans can help bridge the gaps between our civilizations. Together, we can find solutions to the challenges that threaten us all. My breath caught in my throat. Ambassadors? The weight of the responsibility was staggering, but the potential for change was exhilarating. I glanced at my teammates, and I could see that they were just as stunned as I was. Are you serious? Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. You want us to represent humanity? The council member nodded. With your experiences on Xylox 9, you are uniquely positioned to understand both the fragility and resilience of life. Your insights could prove invaluable. I felt a swell of determination rising within me. This was our chance to redefine humanity's place in the galaxy, to show that we were not just survivors but allies. We accept your invitation, I said, my voice firm and resolute. We will do everything we can to foster understanding and cooperation between our worlds. As I spoke, I felt the weight of our journey settle on my shoulders, the struggles, the victories, the bonds we had forged. I looked at Sarah, Marcus, and Lisa, each of them nodding in agreement. We had come so far together, and now we were ready to take on a new role. Thank you, the council member said, a hint of a smile breaking through their stoic demeanor. Together, we can build a future where fear and prejudice are replaced by understanding and unity. With that, the atmosphere shifted. The aliens who had once viewed us as mere curiosities now regarded us as partners. I felt a wave of hope wash over me, and as I stood there, surrounded by my team and the alien council, I realized that humanity's true strength lay not just in our ability to survive but in our capacity to unite diverse civilizations. In that moment, I knew we were ready to forge a new era of cooperation, leaving behind the shadows of fear and prejudice. The galaxy was vast, and together, we could explore its potential.